In this video, we're going to take a look at creating user-defined fields in the parts front end. The parts front end has 15 user-defined fields, which are on the far right side of the application on the form. They can be added to or edited using the configuration button and the user-defined fields button. For example, you can see here's where the fields were defined: manufacturer 2, manufacturer 3, size, dimension, case code, library report, etc. Notice here that the caption was set to manufacturer part number. That's because the shorter caption was used because this long name, which I wanted to use for the database field, was a bit too long to display in the parts front end. So anyway, you see those same field names over here. And if we unfreeze the columns when we select one of these fields, you can see it scroll into view, but you can see here how the real field name in the database is manufacturer part number 3. But we've used a shorter caption to display it. All right, so let's look at what we can do with user-defined fields. We'll just delete these for a moment. I do recommend that you use one called library report, but we'll delete it also for a moment. While we're in here, I want to look at these other options right here at the top and what they mean to the user. This is your default comment and default description that go into the symbol that's being placed in the schematic. And this is part status. This is the status of the part that's in the library, whether it's a new part, it's been checked, released, etc. And MCN stands for Material Control Number, and we can put a company part number there. For example, if your company was OnRamp Wireless, you might put in there ORW. Close that. We'll hit apply. And you can see that the caption is now displayed as ORW. Okay. And the field name is ORW. Anyway, that's just a placeholder for your company part number, if you like to use that. And let's take a quick look at this default description for the comment, what that means. All that means is that we're copying the value field over to the comment field. So you can see there, when we hit save, it copies over. Same thing for the description. If we hit save, it copies over into the description field from the part description. Where these fields are normally embedded in symbols, for example, if we opened a symbol and were to look at it in Altium, that would be this comment field and this description field. So we're just passing those in from the database. Okay, playing with that a little bit more. You know, one of the things I put in here is that you can put in a special string. I recommend you use the defaults that I'm using. I find they worked very well, but let's look at using a special string. So now when we hit save, we'll see that this is going to equal the value field. And so we're passing the special string from the database into the symbol when it's placed in the schematic. Same thing for the description. We could have said that it was equals description. So another special field. Again, it's your choice, but my personal preference is to not use the special field, but to just copy them over. And also I'd like to point out what it means to have a part status that's dynamic. So this is our part status here. When we create a new part, it always defaults to new at the beginning. And then there's a drop-down menu that you can choose, various states, whether the part's checked or end of life or new or not recommended for new designs, obsolete, released, whatever it is you want in there. And in the parts front end, in the configuration, you can see I've used the word dynamic. And so what that allows the user to do is to create those statuses on the fly. For example, let's say that we want to create another status, and we'll just call it test, just so you can see something being done here. Save. And we'll see that now test is in our selection. So adding another part status is just as simple as using it in the database. Okay. And if it's not used, well, it doesn't show up in the list. Okay. So that's what it means to be dynamic. So let's look at creating some of these user-defined fields. We'll do a test over here. We'll create a test user defined field. Okay. Hit close, and we'll apply. So there's our test user-defined field. Now notice the field name was too long to fit in here. So that's a good example of how we would use a caption. We would want to abbreviate that. So this is user field 1, so we'd come down to user field 1 caption. And we might just change it to something shorter that we could still recognize. And you can see that name fits there now. Also, you can always see the actual name that's in the database. If the lower panel is unfrozen, that means it's not scrolling back and forth. Like now I'm selecting these fields, but you can see this panel is holding position. If we unlock it and we select fields, then the bottom is scrolling. Anyway, there's our real name. It was test user-defined field. Okay, once we want to delete a user-defined field, we can just delete it. I'm going to remove our caption. We're not going to need it. Close, apply changes, and we've just removed it. However, when we created the user-defined field, a new field was added to the parts database in the back end. So you'd want to go back into configuration again if you don't want that field and look at your unbound fields. Unbound fields are just fields that don't have a control, where a control is a drop-down box that would be shown on the parts front end. So we'll go ahead and delete that. Anyway, this is a control, what's known as a control, a drop-down box or a text box, and we can delete that. And we can just go ahead and delete them all if we want. These are a bunch of them that were in the default before, but I'll go ahead and delete them all. Just be aware that you are deleting data out of the database when you do that. Which brings me to the point that you might want to do a backup of your database before you start making major changes to user-defined fields and various changes to the structure of the database. Anyway, that's pretty much it in a nutshell. It's pretty simple to add user-defined fields. And also you can load and save user-defined fields. So I'm going to open the default. It was saved here under this demo. And I'll hit apply. And now I'm back to my demo fields. So you can create and save as many configurations as you like. Thanks for watching the video. As always, if you have any questions, you just head over to the parts blog, select contact parts, drop me an email with some questions. I'll be happy to get back to you. Or if you're an existing parts customer, you can just send me, and you've got my email address, you can reach me directly through my email address. Thanks for watching the video. Have a great day.